So what I want to talk to you guys about today is a very, very important topic. It's called the male loneliness epidemic. And I'm going to break down what it is and what causes it. This is not something that I like to talk about a lot. I actually don't like talking about it. It's not my goal to become the male loneliness epidemic guy. It's not my goal. But I feel obligated ethically to talk about this because I have a huge, tremendous amount of insight. In fact, I think I'm one of the only people, scary enough to say maybe even the only person, who can break this down properly. And I don't even think that this video is something that is going to be understood in this generation. But I think in future generations, they're going to look at this video and say, oh, that's what was going on.
It's not evil to use men.
I would only be marrying a man who is putting land, properties, and assets in my name.
Hey, if you wanted to go spread your seed so bad, go be a farmer, because then at least you have a freaking job.
We don't have a loneliness epidemic. We have a loser epidemic.
Having kids makes you happier, but only when they move out.
Women are separating from men and realizing that it's just a gimmick for them to be used as objects.
A husband sounds like slavery.
There's no absolute way I'm marrying someone that makes less money than me.
Women everywhere are saying, if you can't add to my life, you won't be in my life.
The ick has never been wrong.
Women are actually very happy on their own.
We know that marriage isn't benefiting women.
Men who do not have children and are not married live longer.
Men need marriage more than women do.
She got dick down. Happy anti-celibacy to you.
These men are a bunch of simps.
Simp, you're a fucking simp!
Well, how long was the previous guy before we started dating? Like, how do you explain to him that it was like the day before? The hour before we met?
Like, have you ever seen a woman go through a breakup and not level up? No, that doesn't exist.
Let him go back, be with the gremlins that he's used to. You don't have to feel like this impending doom of a dark cloud that is men.
It's a deliberate agenda meant to specifically undermine the human spirit.
Well-educated, great fucking job, 6 figures, I'm 6'2". Isn't that exactly what a girl wants? No, it's not. Day one of trying to be exactly what she really wanted. Hi, I'm Nate, and recently my relationship of 5 years ended because I found out she was sleeping with a jacked 5'7" club promoter. He wants a tattered up club promoter, jacked out of his mind. So I gotta figure out what the hell this is.
So what you're seeing right now is a lot of, and this, I'd really encourage you to do this. Let me tell you a story. It's a powerful story. I'm gonna probably do a whole other video about this and show the actual videos of this. Pretty crazy, okay? So I had a girlfriend, great girl, loved her to death. And we became incredible friends. There was no power games. There was no, me trying to get her, her trying to get me. Like, we were just kind of BFFs. Like, we're just really, really great friends. And I remember at one point, it'd be going really good. We'd been in it for about a quarter of a year. Amazing time. We both had a great time. And I remember at one point, we had a small little tiff on the phone. Very, very small. And she said to me, hey, I'm kind of pissed off. I need to take some space. I'm like, damn. I'm like, we're great friends. Like, what's she doing? I was really surprised by that. I've never seen a relationship that was going that well and then go to that point that quickly. Well, anyway, Instagram has this new button that actually was not out before where you can click on it and you can see what your friends are liking, what reels your friends are liking, okay? And to be honest, like, I kind of missed her. You know, a little simpish of me. I kind of missed her. And I'm just curious what's on her mind, what she's thinking about. So that button will not show you exactly what a specific person's looking at. But if you don't follow too many people, you can press it and it will show you like what the bulk of the people you follow are looking at. And I'm just curious what was on her mind. The videos that she was liking was the most toxic, negative, nasty videos I've ever seen. And as I went down the rabbit hole of those videos, I came to understand what it is that a lot of women are looking at. Now, here's the other thing. Because I do a lot of parties, I know a lot of women as female friends in LA, I know so many girls. And what I realized was as I kept flipping through these reels, the other girls are looking at it as well. They're also looking at these reels. And the stuff that they're liking was crazy. Honestly, it's insane. Let me explain to you the general narrative that I saw my female friends liking like crazy. And by the way, I want to be clear, there was not a lot as far as like, nature videos or sports videos or dance videos or music videos. It was mostly just haterade. Like that's mostly all that comes up in the feed is haterade. Here's the basic theme of it. One of it, and look, this is just a subculture. I don't think guys should be threatened by this, but it's a subculture that I think has influence. One of them is women that talk about consciously choosing not to have a child.
Children aren't furry. Children aren't
They're not furry and soft.
Children are blobs of flesh that suck the life and money out of me.
Don't do it.
As an unmarried, child-free 34-year-old, I honestly don't know why life is worth living. The thousands and thousands of dollars that I save every year and spend on trips to Thailand and other places, like that could be going towards my bloodline, which people are definitely going to remember in 100 years. Out of like billions of people on this planet, they're going to remember my bloodline.
It must be so weird having a son. Like you're just like living with this random guy. And it's like, what common interest would me and my son have besides like my boobs? Like I wouldn't know what to talk to him about or like how to bond. I'd be like, do you want to breastfeed? Like, Mom, I'm 32. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna watch the game with you. So either drink up or get out. I don't know.
And basically what they say is there's a whole argument about basically getting into a relationship is dangerous.
Men are unreliable. Not only are they unreliable, they are a woman's apex predator. That's right, the man you're laying with could kill you. And so when we are encouraging women to get married, we are encouraging women to step 1 inch closer to our death.
You've probably seen the meme where they talk about, what's more dangerous to see in a forest, a man or a bear? Which, there's stats on that. I mean, I guess they make a point. But what I'm saying is they talk about that. They talk about why they don't want to have kids. And what they do is it's almost like infield footage where they kind of flex on each other about how awesome their life is without kids. They flex on each other. So they'll be like, I'm out in Bali right now. I'm going canoeing. Now I'm going with my friends here. Now we're doing this. And just showing why their life looks so good. Well, think about it, right? If they decide to not have a kid and they're making $80,000 a year, they can now afford to just travel individually for the rest of their lives and have fun. Now, they can do that, not have to be the incubator of a chump guy. And then what they can do from there is they can just go travel and do whatever they want. So I'm having a few friends over tonight here in Los Angeles, getting ready for a massive, massive summer tour that I'm gonna be going on. I'm actually gonna be driving around through the country the entire summer, doing a bunch of free events. It's gonna be just awesome, okay? Now, if you'd like to learn how to make more money, if you'd like to learn public speaking, spiritual growth, and social skills, well, guess what? What you're seeing right here, every single person that you see here, these are people who I met out in real life, invited up, and I actually do parties all over the city. I do a ton of parties, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do parties at other people's houses. I don't do most of the parties at my house. I'm gonna show you how to build a massive network. I'm actually gonna build a network for you while I'm in town. We're gonna go out at night and do a field trip together and work on social skills. I'm gonna get you public speaking in front of big audiences. Honestly, it's gonna be an incredible, incredible event. So like I said, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, Denver, New York, Boston, DC, Hawaii. Gonna be awesome. Probably the last time I'm gonna be touring for quite a while, to be real with you. Totally free event. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Click the link below and reserve your spot. We book a certain room size, and once it books up, you can't get in because the room is booked and there's nothing I can do. Priority seating for the people that book right now. Okay, so click the link. I'll see you at the free event on the tour this summer. Looking forward to shaking your hand, working with you in person. See the free tour. So if you're a woman, would you rather be in Bali with your girlfriends, having flings with the most attractive men in the world, no slut shaming at all, abortion being prevalent, you can get raw dog, just tell them to pull out, right? Like, yeah, if you get pregnant, you get pregnant. If you don't, if you get pregnant, you just kill the little fucker. And then if you, just a pinhead, just kill it. And then if you don't get pregnant, so much the better. And then basically what happens is you get to have raw sex with like the most attractive possible partner, have all the money that you need to do whatever you want. You have unlimited partners that you could do it, just all super attractive because the guys will do it, and then just do whatever you want, right? So that's another really big one that you'll see. They talk about, they don't want to be an incubator. They talk about how much kids suck. There's a lot of videos about like different divorce lawyers talking about how happy women are after divorce, like piles of stuff about how after divorce their life just got so much better. Piles of videos like this.
It's a birthday or congratulations?
I'm getting divorced.
You're getting divorced?
Yeah.
Okay, congratulations.
Oh, I wasn't sad. I just needed a...
Life gets really good after divorce. If you let it. Trust me.
70% of divorces are initiated by women. And as a divorce lawyer, I can tell you that women are not divorcing men because they're bored or ungrateful. They're divorcing because they're tired of doing everything.
My divorce has given me almost a toxic sense of confidence. I am dating again, and I feel like I landed right back on Fuckboy Island.
I think in 10 years, people are going to look at marriage like we kind of look at smoking. Like, people are going to look at it and be like, doesn't that make you sicker?
Piles of them. I mean, like, literally women, like, dancing and cheering that they're getting divorced. And a lot of it is like these kind of convoluted self-development type explanations where they're saying, you know, I got back to being the real me. You know, like, I just didn't know who I was, and I got back to being me, and now I'm just, you know, boating through Bali. It seems to be Bali a lot because they can kind of do it on the cheap. It's like Bali, Thailand, or wherever, right? And then, you know, now I'm just out here. And, like, again, the unspoken component is they have a roster of really hot guys. Yep.
It's called the men ain't shit.
What's that?
The men ain't shit niche.
The men ain't shit niche?
That's what it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Reagan Lynch is the queen, by the way.
Reagan Lynch?
So 3 months ago, she made a similar profile to me, but the girl version essentially. 576,000 followers in 3 months.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty bonkers.
Niche.
Yeah, that's right. I'd love you to tell your story in this video at some point too. Okay, so basically, okay, so that's called the men ain't shit niche, okay? Look, again, notice that I'm coming from a place of empathy here. I'm not criticizing it. I think it's worth just being open-minded to why they feel that way. So the men ain't shit niche, again, not complaining, looking to create understanding. Don't be pissed about it, just looking to create understanding. I've got a lot of solutions for you, so you don't gotta be one of those guys that ain't shit. You could be the guy, you know, servicing the girl in Bali. So, you know, I'll show you that stuff. But what I'm getting at is just trying to create understanding. So a lot of stuff about how having a husband, or they talk about how even their son could go kill them. Their husband could do it too. They talk about basically threats to safety, how it's like being an incubator, how they're no longer really like in touch with themselves. Divorce lawyers coming in saying that marriage makes women absolutely miserable, and then women going on and on basically saying how awesome it is in order to have a divorce and how great it is. You see them dancing. Now, by the way, in those videos, there's no commentary towards the husband and child that have been left devastated. The guy who's now funding her lifestyle, no talk about any of that stuff. It's just purely like self-indulgent, narcissistic talks about how finally she gets to become her true self, getting dick down in Bali. So I guess that was her real self. But anyway, so you see the point, okay? So there's a lot of that. There's also, okay, now as I dug down further and further into these different niches, initially I'm looking at it and I said the unspoken part is that, you know, they're basically having sex with whatever hot guy they want. Actually, later as I went deeper down the algorithm, no, they're not hiding it. They're actively saying, I have a roster.
Snapchat me that pussy, move. On FaceTime me that pussy if it's cool. Boy, my DM poppin'. My DM just caught a body.
I hate when a guy asks, like, oh my gosh, like, how long was the previous guy before we started dating? Like, how do you explain to him that it was like the day before, the hour before we met, bro?
Okay. In fact, the word roster was incredibly common. I thought men only use that word. I saw women bragging a lot about having a roster. And many of my female friends that I think are super sweet, that I'm, you know, I wouldn't call it dating, but girls that I'm friends with where there is mutual attraction that I probably would have considered for a relationship are repeatedly liking videos saying, I have a roster. And a lot of them too talking about heartbreaking guys and running back to your roster. A lot of memes about like, you know, when I have a breakup and go back to the streets. One of the memes that I saw was, it was like a guy like about to crowd surf, and it's like when I have a breakup and go back to the streets, and then the guy jumps into the pit, and then everyone swarms him. The implication being, you know, she goes back to the streets and like has sex with like 100 guys kind of thing. All sorts of stuff about rosters, guys ain't shit, kids suck, having kids sucks. Oh, another big one too was like men are like, oh my bloodline, my legacy. And a lot of women, I think, honestly, are a little bit more centered around fulfillment. Like, I just generally think I can't speak for all women, certainly, but I think most women on aggregate are more concerned with fulfillment than a legacy, right? For all you guys in here, if you could go through pain for your entire life, but you'd leave a legacy, would you take that? Who would take legacy? And then who here would take more like hedonism? Put up your hand for legacy and we'll ask for hedonism later. So go I'd be legacy. Who here would be hedonism? Cool, bitches. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so y'all drank the Kool-Aid. But anyway, so yeah, I have had the most hedonism probably of this entire room combined, although you might catch up. And what I'd say is it's totally empty, but I'm a guy. So it's fun, but it's kind of empty, right? But I think women could explain it. Maybe you could speak a bit to that. If I were to ask you, would you like to be in pain your entire life, but at the end of it you left a legacy? Or would you rather experience joy and fulfillment? Which one would you pick?
Joy and fulfillment for sure.
Okay, can you guys guess which one I am? No, torture me to death. Do you understand the hell that I've been through to build all this? How much I've been attacked, the living fucking hell, and how many times I could have ejected out of this to make more money? So I stuck in this specifically because I don't give a fuck, okay? In fact, the more pain, the better. I was in a wheelchair in excruciating pain for half a year, best 6 months of my life, okay? Men are built for pain. We like it. But the thing, and that's not being like a masochist, it's because it grows your fucking spirit for men, okay? It makes you, it's your deepest truth is found in that pain. Okay, my deepest truth was found as my leg was shattered in blinding pain. Now, by the way, did all you guys see the video of me being taken down the hill when I was in blinding pain?
Yeah. Interesting experience with this. Look at this. Pretty good pain tolerance, but I also know not to make things worse by further injuring them. So I'm just kind of taking it easy. It's not a big deal, but it's just unfortunate because I'll be out for the season, I think. But I got a lot of work to do, and so I'm going to enjoy myself, and I always take it like it's God's plan. So the creator above has said, hey, buddy, you got some work to do. Just go back home and do some work. So that's what I'm going to do.
Did I look like I was hurting? No. How happy did I look? Yeah, the whole hospital was completely freaked out the whole time. My greatest joy was knowing that my roots were growing, because with more capacity to go in pain, the more that I can learn to stay stable through the storm, which means that I can have a greater legacy. Okay, that's why I want to have a lot of kids, right? Wouldn't that be fun for you two to be in excruciating pain and just like build a legacy and expand your bloodline?
Not my mission. That's not my polarity. That's for men.
Exactly. And men's role, ideally, is to help her to not deal with that fucking bullshit, okay? And her role, and again, these are traditional roles. Doesn't mean it's, we can have any role we want, but a traditional role would be that while I'm just running around on the metaphorical fucking warpath, destroying myself, I can have an hour and a half of respite from that and peace from that when I go home. But look, that's called being a man. That's completely normal. That's why men storm the beaches of Normandy. That's why they risk going in a rocket ship. It's joyful to go through that, right? Because when you walk into that restaurant, okay, like I'll walk into restaurants where I'm paying a couple $1,000 to eat, and you see those little fucking rich kids that didn't earn it, and you walk in, you look him in the eye, hey, what's up, man? Just look him in the eye like that and being like, you didn't make that money, but I did. And then you look his girlfriend in the eye, and you see how she looks at you, and how she's disgusted with him because she knows that he just got it all from his daddy, okay? So that's why I'll never give my kids any money. I don't want to rob that from them. You understand? So that's joy for a man. It's walking in with accomplishments, having slayed metaphorical dragons, and no amount of money can replace that. You can't buy that, okay? Money can't buy the feeling that you have when you walk that fucking path. It's the greatest path on earth, leaning into your edge. Real fulfillment is found on that path. Having children, having a lot of children is also found on that path. But that's a man, right? So you do that, and ideally, in a more traditional relationship, you do that so that you can create a beautiful environment so that your girl has access to the gold, their jewels, their riches, aka Pilates, Cartier, and a mansion, okay? And then you can pay for the kids so that while she's pregnant, she can feel at peace and calm that she's not with a fucking chump. That's ideally a more traditional type of relationship. But look, the truth is, most men these days are not even built like that because they're bitches. So the women are physically sickened by it. But let's get even worse. Nowadays, that's not even understood as being a quote-unquote alpha male in many ways, right? That's more a journey that you take for your own male experience. But in reality, club promoters and fun guys and rappers and guys that are more hedonistic in a more gynocentric society, that's actually what works, okay? Because all that grind in a society that's mostly established and not in danger anymore is not needed as much as it used to be. So times are a-changing. The majority of women that I know want to be fulfilled. They want to enjoy their fucking life. This whole guy thing is just kind of weird and unnecessary, okay? We live in a world that has police, security. You're not needed for security. You're not needed to provide anything. They have better jobs than most guys. And protection and provision is something of the past. It's ultimately not needed. So what I'd say to you is that as a result of that, because you don't understand that transformation has occurred, what winds up happening is you're optimizing to be a better protector and provider, which is basically something that's obsolete at an overcrowded field. Also, most of you guys in this room, if I'm being honest, are not even successful protectors and providers. Most of you guys in this room could not get in a fight, so you're not protecting anybody from anything, which is fine, by the way. You don't need to. But in addition, most of you guys are not even good providers because you're not making 7 figures a year. So you're not a protector, you're not a provider, you failed in both of those. But what you haven't realized is that now that society's changed, there's a whole other set of optimizations that you're not understanding, okay? There's a whole entire other set of optimizations. So you should be aware of that. So what I'd urge you to do, and I'm going to put this in the video, but I do this on your own time as well, I would go onto Instagram, I would click that little button, and I would see what your female friends are clicking on. Look, I sent this to my CEO. He hits me back. He goes, bro, my 74-year-old mother has liked half these. Okay? But again, go into the mindset of a girl. Again, marry a chump. Have to pander to his BS. You're not even attracted to him. Have to let him lead you when you're smarter than him. He doesn't have any swagger or the things that you actually care about. He's kind of dumb. You know, he's your putsy man. Look at other guys who you'd rather be with. Do all that for what? To be his incubator? Or get to have physical intimacy with the guys that you're the most attracted to? Go to Coachella, go to Mykonos, go to Bali, have fun, and live your life and be fulfilled. What would you rather do? So understand, most of you in this room are optimized specifically for protect and provide when they don't care, okay? Now, the thing is, and you're not even optimizing successfully for it. It'd be one thing if you're killing it in that arena. Then at least when women are like 38, 39, you'd have a shot. So, but you don't even have that. Now, let's keep going a little bit further, okay? So now, talking again about the male loneliness epidemic and why this is happening. Now, Luke, I don't know if you want to share about the PSYOP component of this a little bit. You want to pop up and share a little bit about that? So guys, this is Luke Rudowski from We Are Change. He's super famous, super successful. Hold up.
This is Luke Rudowski, week 2, 4 o'clock in the morning here outside the White House, Dublin, Ireland, Paris, France. We're reporting in Amsterdam, London, England, here in Barcelona, Spain, in Brooklyn, New York, Gdańsk, Poland, here in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., in St. Moritz, Switzerland, where the secretive and elusive Bilderberg group meeting will be taking place directly behind me tomorrow. What'd you do in the underground bunker on 9/11? I think what you do at the Bohemian Grove is pretty insane. We got. When are you going to apologize for destroying this economy, Mr. Grant Bernanke? How do you feel about that?
Be surprised. No.
Reporters, do your job. Please ask some questions. You're a terrorist.
First.
I'm not done.
No, we don't take pictures, okay?
We have every right to.
United States of America.
Put the camera away. I have every right to film.
Fucking horse! What over my fucking foot?
I'm a fucking journalist, you motherfucker! Don't put your hands on me, though. Picture? Hey, don't put your hands on me. Go! Let's go! You will be subject to arrest.
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
So what you see Owen doing here is a very successful form of kind of propaganda and psyop. He's telling you guys, pain is good, pain is great. And when you look at what media, social media, and all these other institutions are telling you, they're doing the opposite of that. Now, you can only have Owen for as long as you can have him now and appreciate him as much as you can, because the messaging that he's telling you, he's doing a lot of things overtly, but he's doing a lot of things covertly too, which I think are very important for a lot of you guys to kind of pick up. And when you study how nonverbal communication works, when you study how the propaganda, how the psyops work in our mainline society, they play up on a lot of your emotions, on a lot of your feelings, on a lot of the visceral kind of things. But the main message that I think you're trying to nail in here is that pain's great. Pain is awesome because it's unavoidable in your life. You're going to have pain. You're going to have bullshit. You're going to have things in your life that are going to be extremely difficult, that are going to be major obstacles in your life that you are going to be questioning, can I overcome this? Can I defeat this? Because right now the barrier to entry towards a happy, successful life is getting harder and harder and harder. And it's not a coincidence. It's not an accident. For me, it's a deliberate agenda meant to specifically undermine the human spirit, the human will. If you look at the way our society is shaped, it is becoming more and more unfair. It is becoming more and more in a way where you don't have families, you don't have children, you don't have God, you don't have a job, you don't have a livelihood. You're going to have a pod. You're going to have a VR set. You're going to have some bugs. You want a car? You're not going to have that either. They're conditioning you with their globalist agenda to specifically make you acquiesce essentially to human slavery. And when you look at our kind of way that we're propelling humanity throughout the last few years, it is becoming less successful. It's becoming less free. It's becoming less prosperous. It's becoming less happy. That to me is not something that is just a coincidence. It's not the human form to conform to this. But there are new levels of psyops that are unfolding right now that are hoodwinking, that are hijacking your mind, and as you say, the reticular activation system, to make you kind of acquiesce to this system that essentially enslaves you, and they enslave you through your comfort, through things that you think are easy, through the pathways that are kind of provided to you, and it's your job, especially as a man, to say, I'm going to walk through that pathway, but am I really just going to do what they tell me to do? Because once you do that, you're essentially being cattled into their system that thrives off of your suffering and your misery. They want you fat, sick, stupid, and dumb. If you look at every aspect of our society, it incentivizes that in very small, nuanced ways where it's just more, you think it's a little bit more convenient, you think it's just a little bit more easy. And then you end up looking back at your life and it's like, holy fucking cow, I have nothing, I own nothing. Why am I here in this earth hijacked, as most people are, let's be real, NPCs? There's probably some NPCs here. There's probably some people who don't critically think and just go along with life and just go along with what they think is normal, what they think is okay. But once you break out of that conditioning and you start listening to Owen and you start opening your mind to other perspectives, you see, hey, there's a different pathway out there. I don't have to just sit down and take it. I don't have to bend over. That's essentially what modern society wants you to do. They want you to be cocked. They want you to be a little bitch. They want you to bend over. They want you to spread your cheeks, and they want you to take their bullshit. I'm a man saying, fuck that. Get the fuck away from my asshole. I'm not taking any of that shit. I'm setting my own fucking path here because my life is my own to live. And once you start breaking the rules of this kind of matrix that they're building all around you, your life really starts becoming incredible. It really starts becoming beautiful because they don't want you approaching the beautiful woman. They don't want you starting your own business. They don't want you having an entrepreneurial spirit that actually fixes solutions that are problems. They want more problems so they can profit off of those problems that they institute in your life almost every single fucking day. So if you're able to get out of it, and this is what I think Owen is doing, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're able to see, yeah, there's more barriers to entry. Yes, it's going to be more difficult. Yes, there's going to be more pain. But if you come from it from a mindset saying, I'm going to conquer this bitch. I'm going to take it. I'm going to allow these barriers to be something that builds me up and makes me better and makes me more amazing, then that's the only true way from success. Because the way that they get you is they hijack your mind to think that resistance is futile, that you just better go along with what they tell you to do. It's just easier to just comply. It's just easier to do what they tell me to do. That's their trap. And once you just break out of it, once you snap out of it, life is incredible. It's exciting. Some people make it, some people don't. But at least your life is in your own hands, and it's not predestined by these central controllers that just want you to be that little fat slob that's just addicted to pornography and addicted to, of course, short dopamine fixes, which they have you guys hooked on. Most people are so hijacked by this. Most people are so hooked by this, they can't stop looking at their cell phone. They love their cell phone. They love their little dopamine. It's built on algorithms that also are built through casinos.
Yeah, it's you versus the AI. Good luck.
Yes. And the AI, I would even argue, and this is my theory, I haven't proven this theory, but my theory specifically about the AI conundrum that you bring up is that a lot of the people that are building the AI have prophesized that people are useless eaters. There's too many of them. We just have to get rid of them. We have to lower the Earth's population. So my theory, and this is where me and Owen were kind of talking within the last few days, which I think is interesting, and
this, you're now seeing the real reason the male loneliness epidemic
is that there could be a concerted agenda from individuals or even autonomous systems that already believe that there's too many people in this world and that the best way to depopulate them is through this layer of hijacking your mind, propagandizing you, and making sure that people don't have families, don't procreate, and are addicted to online porn content, while of course being essentially cucked and never having their families and never reproducing and never doing that. I would say, if you look at all the circumstantial evidence around our society right now, whether it's the sugar babies or the OnlyFans, if you look at the algorithms and the minds that are hijacked, especially of young women in this country, I mean, if you look at the Instagram algorithm, and especially young women that are inundated with it, what's the messaging that they keep receiving? What's the videos that they keep receiving? How does that affect them? And as a young male, what are you also getting access to? All the free adult craziest content that you could potentially ever want in the world right at your fingertips. That's not a coincidence. It's not free. If it's free, you are the product. And a lot of us are products of the system, and a lot of us are being cattled into this eugenicist population control system without even knowing it. And it's done in many different ways. It's done through subconscious subliminal messaging. It's done through propaganda. If you look at almost every commercial, TV show, movie, all of them, subliminal message. Guy, stupid, pathetic, asshole, bad guys. It's about dividing us. It's about conquering us. It's about making sure that we see each other as different. We fight each other, or we never come together to actually make our lives worthwhile. Because when you have something to fight for, when you have a family, when you have a community, when you have a group, you can't be conquered. You can't be enslaved. But if you're individuals that are just enslaved to the system and dopamine hijacked through all these short dopamine pleasures, and not caring about yourself and not caring about your loved ones that don't have a purpose, you're the perfect slave. You're the perfect slave that they want. And I think a lot of us are being preconditioned for that in ways that we don't even understand. Now, that's one way, psychologically, that they're kind of hijacking you. Be like, yeah, I'm just going to be single forever. Yeah, I'm not going to have a family. Yeah, I won't have a house. I won't own anything.
Imagine this, too. Imagine this. Back as far back as whatever amoeba-type creatures we were, every single generation has reproduced, okay? From the amoebas to whatever weird amphibian thing we were, to like some little lizard, whatever we were, to a monkey, to a caveman, all the way till your generation. And you're the one that couldn't reproduce. Imagine the failure of that. And then convincing someone to do that to themselves in exchange for a trip to Bali and to get railed by a fuckboy. And then to pet cats when you're old. Like to be part of a knitting troupe. You know the mother of my kids, right? She's 46. And great woman. I'll see her with my 3 sons. We'll be out in Hawaii, right? And I'd love for you to add to this too, but I'll see her, okay? And look, she's really held it together. I mean, like, a little bit famous and, pretty famous actually. And like, she's really held it together, like amazing, right? Like you couldn't ask for a woman to hold it together. But at some point, maybe in her 50s, it's going to be the end of the road for certain types of party invites and so on and so forth, okay? And so what's going to happen is, like, I see her in Hawaii with my 3 sons. And my kids what do you think they view her as out of 10? 10. A 10. What is she to them? The fucking queen, right? They love her to death. They will be with her until her deathbed. They will always view her as the ultimate woman. And, they're there, dumping her in the ocean, playing with her, chasing her around, making her laugh, all that amazing stuff. That's not going to happen from, that apex fuckboy guy when she's older, okay? That's not going to happen. So imagine the joy. Now, a lot of the girls in these fuck men niche, they'll talk about different things. Sometimes their kids won't like you. They'll give examples of that. They've got it all broken out into science, by the way. They'll be saying stuff like, there was this woman and she was dying and all these people came to see her. And the nurses said, you must have such a large family. But we said, no, it was our friends. We cultivated relationships. They'll even say how men tend to cultivate only a relationship with their wife, whereas women have multiple friendships. Kind of good feedback for men, by the way. I think there's a lot of valuable feedback for men in these fuck men things. Like I can take feedback. I'm not against it. I actually appreciate the feedback. But I also think that they'll say things like guys are trying to scare you into being their incubator by saying that life is going to suck when you're older. I can hear that. I can hear that and say, you know what? Okay, I hear you. Right? I don't think it's a good for men to be saying to women like, you've got to have a kid or you're going to be all alone when you're older. Like, I don't think that's necessarily healthy. I think women have great lives when they're older without kids. But while I think that perspective has some merit and is worth considering, I promise you, look, I've made millions of dollars in my life. I've traveled the world. Like all these things that the women are trying to do in Bali, I've done the 1000x version of this, with like a lot of, I don't even want to know how much money I spent in my life, guys, but you'd kill me if I told you. Okay, so I've done the super, super, super fancy version of what they're doing in like their little Instagram reels, okay? I've done all that. I've competed with Hugh Hefner for best party in all of LA at my house. I've lived on estates. I've traveled the world. I've hung out with the best people. I've done all this stuff. Guys, it's all crap compared to being a parent. It's all garbage compared to being a father. All of it is garbage. Nothing has brought me more happiness than being with my kids. Nothing. So and by the way, I always say this about my kids. Not only do I love my kids, you know what's my greatest compliment to my kids? I like my kids. Okay? I don't just love my kids. I like my kids. Like, I would kick it with my kids even if I wasn't their dad. Like, they're just cool as fuck. Like, my kids are really fucking cool. And I'm proud of that, you know?
Tristan. What is that? Where are we today, buddy?
We're in ice.
First time seeing it. Look at it. We're flying up there today. What's you see?
Nice. What do you want to say to your future self from the first time you did ATV?
Oh, it's just really fun.
In order for me to increase my life satisfaction, I have to kick you out.
Sid will play with my kids for like 10 hours, and he's just laughing and having fun. He'll go crazy just because they're cool to hang out with. You know how weird it is not to have young life around? Like, I specifically go to spas like City Spa in LA where there's older people there because I like to hang out with senior citizens. I'll kick it with senior citizens, guys, like once a week, just at random at the spa, the Russian Banya. Old Russian gangsters and shit, old dudes. We just kick it. Older guys, right? I also like to be around young life, such as my children, okay? I want to be around, it's like the environment's just better when you have older people around, younger people around, different generations around. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And when it's your kids, you have skin in the game in a major way, and it's just an incredible, incredible thing. So while I can appreciate when women say, because look, I don't think it's healthy for men. Like I get the argument, like, if I'm a woman, it's like, look, don't let some chump guy that you don't want to hook up with scare you into having to be his incubator. I think there's value in that point. But what I'd also say is that if you're an investor, get ready to invest in cats, get ready to invest in knitting. Like, I don't know, Sid, you might have some ideas on like what to invest in, but like cats, knitting.
Back problems.
Yeah, what's that?
Back problems.
Yeah, back problem stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I said backgammon.
Tennis elbow.
Yeah.
Listen, my cats will never leave home, and they bring me exponential happiness.
Oh, yeah, cats are the best. Oh, they're the best. You know, in one study, they observed how married couples responded to stress, and out of all the various stress test scenarios, cat owners were the most calm and made the fewest errors when their cats were present. They also recovered faster physiologically.
I see why the Egyptians worship them.
Cats are also good for your health. In one study, researchers followed 4,435 people for 13 years. People who owned a cat were less likely to die from a heart attack. And this was true even if they didn't have cats currently.
Which suggests that cats are preventative medicine.
Also, if your life is that when you're younger, you're being given the private planes, you're on the private planes, you're in the private parties, like you're living like a rock star. And then a certain age hits and things change. That's almost like being a sports athlete, spending all your money, and then, your athletic career changes, and you've got to deal with the aftermath. So again, like, I'm not coming at it from one of these, like I'm open-minded to what those videos say. Like, I think there's value in them. I'm not even trying to shut it off, but I honestly do believe it's a psyop. I think they're being literally tricked as a psyop. There's women who I date that are into all this stuff, and I'm like, babe, like, ditch me and get a girlfriend. Like, I don't want to be your fuckboy. Go get a boyfriend. Go get a man. Have kids. I tell them. But they don't want to do it. They're just having fun. What they don't realize is I'm not going to keep having sex with them past a certain point. But they're not able to see that. So that's all I'm saying. And I honestly think it's a psyop.
Yeah, but it's not just meant for them. It's meant for you guys. Because when you guys see it, you're like, fuck these bitches. Fuck these hoes. Fuck these, thoughts out there. I hate them. But that's also the hijacking of your kind of mindset and what you're seeing out there. And if you're constantly seeing toxic women, it takes away from one of your most primal, most important kind of roles as a man, and that is to lead. You're not going to want to lead and protect. You're not going to want to lead and protect a bunch of toxic, crazy people who hate you. But that's the psyop that, of course, you get of all the women that are out there that are evil, that are stupid, that are there to be predatory against you. So it's not just propaganda against their mind. The propaganda against them works a lot more convincingly. That's why a lot of marketing, a lot of advertisements is just specifically centered towards women, because women are more susceptible towards receiving messages and have a DNA kind of genetic predisposition to be with a groupthink type of mentality. But as men, we have to understand when we're seeing that stuff, we're seeing a reflection, but they want to show you the nastiest, stupidest, ugliest reflection. But you need to not be emotionally hijacked by that. And you need to say that, I'm a man, I'm going to lead. And when I'm going to lead, I'm going to try to lead people out of these toxic situations and show them that the situation is totally different. Some would say that resistance is futile, but I would say that kind of thinking is leading along the lines of acquiescing to what they really want out there. And as a man, I think one of the most important things you got to do is you have to set the example. You have to be the person that keeps your frame. You have to be the person that doesn't get affected. You have to be the person that just goes in through it, accepts the pain, accepts the suffering, but also visualizes a positive outcome, an outcome that, of course, you kind of create in your own mind that you will pile drive through no matter what the pain or what the resistance is. Then and only then could you be successful. And I think that's what you're doing in a very kind of niche way that I kind of saw you doing here, being like, motherfuckers, you better accept the pain, you better love it. Because that's the only thing that's going to be constant, and that's the only thing that's going to be growing and expanding from here. And the only thing that will ever get you out of this is you saying, and your mind and your mentality being flipped to love and accept the pain and to overcome it and to grow. That's the
Yeah, and that's real fulfillment, guys. And same as for women in childbirth. There's powerful fulfillment there too that they're denying. You know what? I think it's any niche is amazing. I like niches. Like if there's a niche of women that are like, you know what? Fuck having kids, and men suck. I think that's amazing. I love that. But when that starts to become a mainstream adopted view, you're in a psyop, okay? Look up Yuri Bezmenov. You don't know about psyops? Yuri Bezmenov. It's completely crazy. Anything else to add?
No. Look up fifth generational warfare, because it's pretty clear we're under that type of warfare. We're living in a day and age where memes, thoughts, tweets are more powerful than bullets and bombs. And if we don't realize how they're being weaponized against us, we're victims of it. And a lot of people are victims. The mental aspect is one of it. The physical aspect is another important kind of topic to get on, specifically with the soft kill weapons that are already implemented against you, that you guys are buying, that you guys are putting on your bodies, that you guys are participating with. Once you start realizing, holy cow, there's so many things against you. There's so many things that are meant to profit off of your suffering. Once you stop your karmic energy participating in those systems, life is amazing. Life is incredible, but it's about you being awake, you paying attention to it, and you being just absolutely laser focused on your mission, not being swayed by the emotions, not being swayed by the propaganda. And if you're actually willing to sacrifice almost everything for your dreams, that's going to be a life worth living, in my opinion. And I think that's a lot better than the average NPC out there that sadly is just a slave, a puppet. Someone who, of course, is the perfect example of what the system wants them to be, fat, chubby, stupid, and an idiot that, of course, acquiesces, bends down, and, of course, takes it up the ass. I'm not...
Metaphorically.
Yeah. And literally, too. And literally, so.
Yeah, give me a hand, guys. That was amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I'll grab the mic, too. Yeah, that's it. That's dope. And it was just kind of good fortune to have Luke here to chat about this today, because it's right on the topic, and he's a great friend of mine and just one of the great people that I've been lucky to have in my life. What I would say also, so let me keep going a little bit, okay? So now, just to lay it out, what I see, okay, here's what I'm seeing in LA, okay? So I'll do parties, I have a lot of fun. I have a great life, I have a very, very fun life. But what I see is people are lacking a core, whether you'd call that connected to God, whether you'd call that just integrity or higher values, or lacking a sense of self. What I generally will see is, you'll see that the different girls out in the club, and the guys are doing it too, by the way. They're doing the same thing. And they're kind of like, where's like the next party? Like, where are we going? Can we get in here? Let's go there. And it's almost like this narcissistic free-for-all of just self-pleasure. And the reason why is because what you'll see is a lack of a core. So your behavior in life where there's a larger purpose behind it. And it's, in my view, what I'd say is connected to God. But you can see that however you want, okay? But by the way, I would urge you to read the Bible, because even if you view the Bible as a story and not as real, that's completely fine. You'll get the exact same kind of value from reading it, which is basically explaining to you some of the deeper truths of life, which is that if you don't have that connection to your higher power, whatever that means to you, if you don't have that, you're basically living in hell, because you're always living in this kind of up and down roller coaster rather than having your core essence always expanding from what it is that you're doing. So what'll happen is when you live this kind of life where you move into the pain, you move into challenges, then what happens is that core, look at me, that core essence begins to grow, and you will achieve flow states and peace and expansion and a growth of your potential unlike anything that you could imagine. You'll walk into rooms and it looks like everybody's completely asleep. Now, if you want to get a little bit more, literalist here, this is getting a little bit more extreme. This, I don't want you to adopt these views unless you truly believe it yourself. So I'm not trying to push a belief system on you, but not trying to push a belief system on you, but just giving you some food for thought. So don't take this as like a Christian brainwashing. I really believe that the Bible is actually an instruction manual for eternal life. And the reason why, not forcing this on you, but it's not just going, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and you go to heaven. Fuck no. In fact, I'd argue that those people are going right to somewhere else. So you're not getting off the hook that easy. What I would say that it is that you're threading in and intertwining your soul so that when the body dies, there is a resonance there and a connection there to the next reality that you're going to go to. And later in the Bible, when he says, he basically says to stay attached to the vine, and that whatever you do, if you're not connected to the vine, will go to shit, but that you'll do incredible things if you stay connected to the vine. Very, very, very powerful. Okay, when he says, take care of my sheep, take care of my lambs, this is very paraphrased, all that. What that's doing there is it's getting you to get beyond your autopilot monkey mind and to look at things as a spirit, as a soul, and to see that same energy in other people, and to do what you would do if you had that larger awareness. And so if all that your life is making nasty memes on TikTok, doing drugs, getting railed by fuckboys, and taking a paddle cruise around Bali, or if you're a guy, if your only goals is a bunch of bullshit as well, my personal view is your soul is being snuffed out. Your eternal life is gone. That's how I really feel. When people hurt me, by the way, and I look sad, it's never because they actually hurt me. I'm sad because as a Christian, I'm worried that they're going to hell. That's what scares me. But hell is not some weird demon, like Satan thing, like that. It's more of a spiritual realm that we don't have any kind of deep understanding of, okay? We don't actually understand what that is. We're not in a position to understand what that is. But look, these are some just little lobs that I'm throwing at you that I could do a 15, 20-hour seminar on. And I could blow your fucking mind in that seminar, but I want to kind of stick more on the male loneliness epidemic. So I got to kind of take it a little bit back down to earth here. But I've got a lot of content about this stuff already out, and I've got a lot more coming out. I probably got about 100 hours already shot on those topics that I shoot in like national parks and stuff that you'll see coming out in the next period of time, okay? So this is something I'm very, very passionate about. So to me, when I'm seeing this kind of stuff, I'm not just seeing it from a standpoint of the erosion of society. I'm seeing it as spiritual warfare. That's the lens that I'm looking at it through. Not just that they're being depopulated, that every single generation up until them made it through somehow. They didn't. Not only am I seeing it from less real life satisfaction, I'm seeing it as selling their soul for a trip to some tacky fucking place, okay? That's the lens that I'm seeing it through, okay? And by the way, you can recognize somebody who's very tapped in by looking at them, feeling their energy, the kind of energy that they're manifesting. You can become aware of people that live that life by talking to them. And you can become aware of it by looking in their eyes and seeing their energy. So I'd encourage you to continue to do that and to be aware of it. Because when someone's really tapped in, there's an energy that you don't see elsewhere. So it's not about shaming other people to be a certain way. Rather, it's about leading by example. Again, read the Sermon on the Mount, talks about all that stuff. So I'd really, really encourage you to read it. Not as like a dogmatic thing, and then just running around, saying Jesus this, Jesus that, but actually seeing it more as a set of principles that teach you what it means to die, what it means that you're going to die, and what the larger meaning is around that. Now, if you don't believe that, then a lot of abortions make sense. If you don't believe, and again, I'm sure many of you in this room had abortions, but you can wake up. okay? And so when you see it differently, you'll realize that your children are a blessing from God. You'll see the larger purpose and the real joy of life. And I just see people missing that. And then they want to go into like some of the systems that Luke talks about, where they get you to sell your soul not just for Bali, they get you to sell your soul for some like VR goggles or things like that. It's really, really fucked up what you see happening, okay? But again, we'll bring it back to the male loneliness epidemic here a little bit, okay? So this talk is it's gonna have some turns and some twists to it a little bit. It's an interesting talk so far, would you say? Remember I told you guys we had an interesting one coming? Yeah. Okay, so we got an interesting talk today. We got some twists and some turns, okay? So, but I like doing that because I'm one of the few people who can do that in this long form and could do it off the dome, okay? So let's keep going down the rabbit hole here, okay? So now, really what I'd like to see personally is I think monogamy and two-parent households was a better way for society to exist. But what I'm gonna say to you is I don't believe that that is a sustainable system right now, because I believe that that system only works when other things are working within society, but it is very, very unlikely to stumble upon that right now. And I'm gonna explain to you why, and it's not trying to be negative, it's just simply trying to understand why that is, okay? So I need you to understand how attraction works between men and women, why the previous systems helped you with that, but why the current system is a mess. And let me explain why, okay? So back in the day, you had different elements of society. One of it would be that people would go to church, they had community at church, they didn't have Instagram, they probably weren't leaving the city, and you had it where if you got married, you did that in front of God. You felt like you're gonna go to hell if you leave your husband. Probably a little bit nasty. I'm not saying that it should even be as bad as that, but you should be aware that that doesn't exist. So back in the day, if you got married, that was a great way to make a promise in front of God, in front of your community, in front of your families, to not leave each other and to raise your fucking kids, okay? That's where it came from at that point. There was shame around divorce, and there was shame around having a ton of sex. So marriage actually served a function back then, and people also wound up having kids younger, which biologically produced better offspring by doing it younger, okay? So that's what was going on back then. Now there's an analogy called the Chesterton's fence. G.K. Chesterton fence. Here's what he says. Let's say, for example, you had a farm, and you had a fence back in the farm. And you're walking around the back of your farm one day, you go, hey, what's this fence doing here? Some previous owner put it there. Let's kick down the fence. I don't really understand why that fence is there, so because I don't understand it, I'm gonna kick it down. You kick it down, next thing you know, you're being infected with insects. You've got wolves coming in to eat your sheep. You've got floods coming in. You're like, oh shit, maybe we shouldn't take it down this dam or this fence. Because people put it there as a solution to problems. You didn't understand why it was put there. The knowledge of why it was put there was not relayed to you. And as a result, you just kick it down and everything goes to hell. This generation, in my view, is gonna be viewed as hilarious by future generations. When they see what happened with all this shit, it's gonna look so fucking funny, okay? But understand now that if you go and get married, that is again, I believe in marriage, I think we gotta bring it back, but under the current situation, unless you have a very traditional Christian girl or a girl with very traditional values, it is very, very dangerous financially and even other reasons to get married. It's just not something that you can realistically do. I would even take it further than that. I would say that any financial investments that you make into a relationship are absolutely have no equity whatsoever beyond a state pump for maybe 72 hours. I don't think shared experiences and trips have a lot of equity. I don't even think the friendship has a lot of equity in a relationship, because you're gonna have a situation where her friends are shit talking you, parents are shit talking you, all these guys they're talking to that want them to be single again, divorce parties, everybody likes it. I mean, Instagram is filling their head with complete pollution about why being single is better. I think you're in a very, very dangerous situation to be in a relationship. And let me try to explain to you, here is what marriage used to do. Here's the function that it used to serve, okay? Let's say that you got married. You could not have to focus on swagger, and you didn't have to focus on generating organic attraction. You could focus on being a provider. And if you were a good provider, that made you more attractive back then. So do you guys see how marriage allowed men to focus on being a better provider? Yeah. Because if you knew that the relationship was relatively stable, you didn't have to learn about frame. You didn't have to learn about attraction. You didn't have to learn about swagger, which kind of sucks if you're the girl, but at the same time, it meant that the kids got raised, and it meant that, she'd have the fulfillment of a family. So it kind of sucks for the girl, but there was perks to it. Now, look, let me tell you another thing, too. You remember how back in the day they would say things like, get the door for the girl, or, pay the bill for the girl, pay the bill at the restaurant, right? Yeah. In reality, I've never seen those things equate to organic, real attraction. In fact, kind of when you do it, it doesn't really do that much. It's kind of weird. It really does a lot less than you think it would. In fact, a lot of the time when you go to try to do that, it actually kills attraction because it looks like you're kind of like this dumb guy who's too gullible and naive to know that it doesn't work. So a lot of that older stuff that you'd see about, get the door, give a compliment, pay the restaurant bill, a lot of that stuff was kind of built so that a guy who didn't really have swagger and wasn't focused on building swag and wasn't like a fuckboy, he could have kind of like a criteria that if he showed it, let's say that he was a 6 in attractiveness and he was out with a woman who's a 6 in attractiveness, he could do that. And it kind of gave her a criteria to say, no, this is a good guy. He got the door. He paid the bill. He's a good person. Maybe I could marry this guy. So it gave that guy a criteria. Now, if you know what generates organic attraction, if you study it for 2 or 3 years, you can understand it very, very well. But if you haven't properly studied it, there's a lot of nuance to it. It takes a very, very high degree of understanding. And it's just a little bit much to have to learn. But look, here's the thing. I can show it to you, and you can definitely learn it. Here's the problem. All those years that you're spending building swag, you could have been spending being a better provider. So society has shifted now to where if you want to have a mate, definitely make money for yourself. You need your own money. But I can promise you, being a provider does nothing. It's only at this point about organic attraction, which like the slang term for that is swagger. It's just swagger. That's it. That is what is necessary to attract a mate at this point because they don't need a provider anymore. They don't need that. The marriage isn't going to hold it for you. The only thing that will actually hold a relationship for you are 2 things that I can think of. One would be organic attraction, which you can learn over time, but you probably have to put about 30% of your time into maintaining that. Although to be fair, women were doing, makeup and hair and all this stuff for years, so I guess it's guys' turn. But the other thing would be really befriending the friends and family. I would urge you, if you have a relationship that you don't want to have go sideways, really invest into the relationships with the friends and the family, okay? Now, let me explain to you why, okay? I'm going to explain to you why this is so key, okay? Have you ever approached a woman in a club and you're showing high status, you're really cool, you're fun, and you're not self-qualifying, and you're not needy, and the interaction is going great? It's going great for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, right? Then what happens is you do one thing wrong. Now, what is that wrong thing you do? It's usually like you just really liked her, and then maybe she went to the bathroom, and then she came back and found you waiting for her like a puppy dog instead of talking to another girl. You're out. Or maybe she like went to talk to another guy, and rather than you talking to another girl, you kind of followed around like a puppy dog. You're out. Well, that's just called you liked her. It's not bad, right? But it makes you look like a loser. Maybe you double texted, right? Like you sent a text, you really missed her, so you sent her another text. You're out. Okay? Maybe you're like a little too eager to take her for a fancy dinner, and it just looks too formal and charged. You're out. So all these things, now when that happens, here's what you need to understand. A girl's, her inner biology is built not to mate with losers. That's the entire point of mating, is not to mate with losers. And again, going back to mammals, every single other mammal species, I mean, maybe barring a couple flukes, you have the most attractive male animal that has sex with most of the females. So it's only in modern society that we had it where people were pairing off. The normal state of existence is the most attractive guy with a ton of girls. That's just the truth. Now, if you look at the guys that are the most attractive, is it a guy who is a good provider? Or is it like a rapper, a club promoter, an artist of some kind, right? It's basically guys that can do some kind of dumb little dance and have a bunch of swag, okay? Like, what is Drake actually? Let's call it pre-Kendrick Lamar diss Drake. Okay, what is Drake actually? He goes up the front of the room, he goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He makes little funny turns of phrase. He sings, he waves his hips around, he wears colorful clothes, frames himself as the prize. That's actually what's attractive. Not some guy who works at an insurance company and has a good solid $180K a year. Okay? I mean, if you look at the most desirable women, they're much more likely to go out for a hookup with Drake than a guy who's like, you know, an upper level manager at an insurance company. That's just the truth. Now, it's funny because reality is hiding in plain sight. You watch as women scream for Drake, but it never occurs to you that that's what's actually attractive. So it never occurs to you, and then you still keep optimizing for being a provider because you're somehow separate from him. They view you like an Oompa Loompa at Charlie's Chocolate Factory. That's what you look like, okay? That's what you look like. So you have to become aware of that. What marriage did in the past was there were social structures in place where you didn't have to have a ton of swagger and you could just focus on being a great provider. One guy, one girl. You could focus on that. You could optimize for that and you're fine. But that is not the case anymore. And the problem is this. At some point in a 5 or 10 or 20-year relationship, if you only have one woman, you're going to be a beta male. You're going to be a chump. You're going to be needy. You're going to be a little bit too vulnerable. Now, I know they're all telling you that they wish you'd be more vulnerable, but men's experience show otherwise, okay? You can be open and have some fun, but you can't be needy or beaten down. It kills attraction. Now, here's the key piece to understand. If you go out tonight on the street and you start chatting to a girl, and it's going well, call it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you act like a chump, when that girl walks away from you, is she like, hey, it was really, in most cases, hey, you know, this has been a great 2-hour conversation. It's been really cool learning about your dog, and, you know, it's really been cool hearing about your life and hearing about your opinions. Look, I do have to go with my friends now, but it's been a lot of fun, and I just want to thank you for that couple hours of your time. And, you know, if I see you throughout the night, I'm definitely going to come over and give you a hug because we didn't talk for a couple hours. And maybe I'll see you around a party or something, right? And it was really cool. And then they leave like in that way. Is that generally what happens once you look like a chump for even a millisecond, even if it was going well initially? No. Okay, so what actually happens? What happens is it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. You cease to exist to them, and then they walk off. And then later, if you're like, hey, like that, hey, Susie, they're like that, like you're a total fucking weirdo. And all that you did was probably just show that you like them a little too much. That's called weird now, right? Like you like someone, right? You're not just like banging 30 people. God forbid you pedestalize someone who you met because you thought they're cool. Loser, okay? But that's just true because, again, in nature, that would be true. That would just be true in nature. So what's happened is the Chesterton fences that were built are gone now, and so all that's left is organic attraction. Now, the challenge is this. I can't tell you how many times where I've been dating a bunch of people, and when I'm dating a bunch of people, I'm the one being pedestalized. Okay, they call it the adored and the adorer. When I'm dating a lot of people, I tend to be the adored. What'll happen is at some point, I'll go in a monogamous relationship because I really like the girl, and then I might start to seek her validation at some point. And it's amazing how the same girl who would chase you to get an hour of your time, basically crawl under a metaphorical barbed wire fence to come over to your house on a Wednesday night to see you and get your time and to hook up, once you go into a monogamous relationship with her, you start seeing in many cases she becomes irate, becomes frustrated, becomes annoyed, starts to view you as a putz. Why? Because you're making the same kind of mistakes that you might have made at an initial approach in a club. Because you're really into her, you're not seeing anyone else, and look, gradually over time, maybe you give up your hobbies a little bit, you kind of center it around providing for her, you want to be a good provider. Now, what about if you get married? Now you've given her half your net worth. How does it feel to have given half your net worth to someone and to know that at any second they can walk away and maybe they're making you a bit jealous? But I can tell you when I'm single, there's countless times where women that I meet accuse their husbands of being jealous. The way it plays out is we hook up, later it turns out they have a husband, and then they call him jealous after the guy hooked up, after they hooked up with me. And it's happened with my friends too. This is super crazy common, okay? And the reason why is because the girl will frame me as I'm the cool one who's not needy and can go with the flow, and the husband as the weird, possessive, overly possessive, needy guy. And what I want to say to them that they don't understand, I want to say, girl, I have no investment in you. I haven't paid a penny for you. I've never taken you for a dinner. All that I've ever given you is some funny lines and a little Drake dance. That's all I've ever given you. Of course I'm not jealous or possessive. I don't care. But I had an experience with a girl that I honestly thought I'd have kids with. I wound up spending a lot of money on her. We were best friends. I really thought that I could. And I found myself a lot more needy knowing, once that girl's got 50 grand on the wrist and you've blown a couple $100 grand over a few months taking her around, And then she doesn't call you for a couple days. You get a bit needy. I remember that girl. She didn't call me for a couple days. I said, hey, like, what's going on? She's like, what, do you like need me to call you? Me and her were best friends. I was like, yo, that's kind of weird. I thought that I was at a point in my life that I was past this kind of concern. She was my real friend. I genuinely wanted to know why I hadn't heard from her in a few days. She says, what, do you need me to call you? I said, I don't need you to call me. I thought you'd be excited to call me. We're best friends. Now, when you guys hear this, I know what you're thinking. Ha, Owen sucker. What a suck. You teach this, you didn't even know? Guys, we never had that kind of weirdness in the relationship at all. We were like little kids having fun, hanging out. We would just go do fun stuff. We're best buds. We had great rapport. I never would have seen us breaking up. But remember, shit testing never stops. Shit testing never stops. When she met me, I was at the top of my game. Over time of being with her, I'd invested more. You know my buddy, who's a jeweler, told me, okay, I maybe lost like low six figures on that relationship. Only in a couple months. Well, for me, that's not too bad. But he goes, yo, you got out light, son. You got out light. I'm like, that's not light. That's the price of a fucking house. He goes, nah, bro, come on. Think of all our friends that lost millions. You got out light. I had another buddy, right, at that same time, he lost 15 million on a divorce. You know, right? I could have lost that. All I got was low-level six figures. Look, we had a fun time. Averages out to God knows what per lay, but anyway. Yeah, we had a fun time. But you know what? I love that experience because I can share it with you guys. And I can tell you, the fact that her and I were best friends had no equity. The fact that I spent all that money had no equity. The fact that I'd taken her on those trips had no equity. Now, by the way, I know what you're thinking. What, did you lead with the money? You must have been leading with money. Guys, whenever I get a girlfriend, I get them to wait for sex because I want to build sexual tension. We would fool around every day. She was the one always jumping on me, begging, not begging, I'm not trying to demean her. She's super cool. I say that in a way that I'm a lucky guy. Begging me to have sex, mad at me because I wouldn't, because I like to make girls wait if I'm going to kind of wife them up, metaphorically speaking, wife them up, not real wife them up. And so I get her to wait. She would always want to have sex. She's super horny. We have a great sex life. I never spent any money on her. But as I got to know her and we became best friends, a lot of time we go out. There's other girls that I've hooked up with. I want her to feel special, right? And I thought, you know what? Me and this girl are going to have kids. Give her whatever she wants. That's how I felt. But very, very rapidly, what happened was when she didn't call me for a bit, I got a bit needy. Now, if you're to ask her, she would go back in our relationship and say, well, there was this one point where he made a funny face. And there was this other point where I asked for a sesame seed bagel and he gave me a poppy seed bagel. And I felt unloved, so on and so forth, right? What is the word for that when they reimagine history, right? Because in reality, my and her relationship was just us going to restaurants, us doing trips, us going shopping, laughing, having fun, having sex, and having great talks. We just had the best time. Best couple months of my life. We both had so much fun. But what does that mean when they feel differently about it? What's that word that I always tell you guys? It starts with an R.
RAS flip.
Say it louder.
RAS flip.
Okay, what's an RAS flip? What happens is if you show low status, their biology says, I have to leave. It doesn't matter if you spent money. It doesn't matter if you're best friends. None of it matters. None of it matters because you have 100 million years plus of biology saying this guy's a chump. Now, back in the day, the church would hold the frame for you. The community would hold the frame for you. The family would hold the frame for you. Instagram at least wasn't ruining the frame for you. So you had an environment that held frame. Now, what is the easiest way to hold frame, which basically means to hold your power in a relationship, is to have 10 girlfriends. That's always the easiest way to hold frame because you're never, ever needy. Now, here's how it would have worked back in the day, okay? Back in the day, if you'd had that one guy who's kind of the stud, let's say he had 5 or 10 girlfriends. He had a very, very strong frame. He had a very, very strong sense of reality. But what would happen is now he's dating 5 or 6 people, and what's going on, this is a key piece, so don't lose it, okay? If you already have a strong sense of reality, okay, we talked about frame yesterday, right? You already have frame. You've got a great frame independently. What happens if now what you have is 5 or 10 other partners that are feeding your frame more? Will you ever get needy?
No.
You can't. You physically can't. You're drained. You're drained. Not your bank account in this case, but another valuable resource. So you're drained, okay? Bank account's drained, you get needy. Cum is drained, you're not needy at all. I have never in my life had a situation where if I'm dating a bunch of people where I lost frame. That just doesn't happen. I'm doing parties, I'm having fun, I never lose frame. But when you give all that up and you have a monogamous relationship and you're financially invested, you're more likely to lose frame. Once you lose frame and that RAS slip kicks in, they have to go. It's biological. They have to go. So what was happening was society was holding frame back in the day. The church, God, community, no Instagram, not the bitchy, not this like no birth control thing, the fuck men memes, all this stuff, right? So it was holding frame for you. Marriage was a very, very good way to cement a family. It was beautiful. I believe in marriage. I hope it comes back. I want to see two-parent households. But right now, the way that things are, it's very, very tough. Who here has ever been married and gone through divorce? Anyone been through it? You did? Okay. Shoot.
Well, you're going to love this.
Guys, listen up.
My girl had borderline personality disorder.
BPD, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And she had abandonment issues, major abandonment issues. So I figured that if I cater to all her anxieties, that it's going to make it work out. It had the exact opposite effect. After we split up, I found text messages to her new boyfriend. He was asking, "Well, what about your business?" "Don't worry, baby. I will tank that."
Yeah, tank your business.
Yeah, and she did. Yeah. She did.
Congrats.
I live in my car, dude.
He lives in his car now. Give me a hand for living in his car. You're lucky you didn't commit suicide from being with someone with BPD, by the way. Yeah, you got out light, son.
I dated a BPD chick. She by the end of the relationship, she threatened to bomb my van, put a bomb under. Yeah, so they're fucking nuts.
You got out light, son. Okay, so borderline personality disorder. Look it up. So guys, look, interesting response there, but the general response that you'll get is think about how bad a breakup is. How bad is it? Horrible. Fucking horrible. Imagine a breakup where the money that you earned is now being given to lawyers, hundreds of thousands of dollars of it. Then you've got your house, and then the fuck boy is coming over to fuck your ex-wife, the girl who you gave your vows to, living in your house. Okay, and this is what happens. Look, marriage is this beautiful thing where you go into it, and it's very high vibe. It's about community. It's about fun. It's very special. It's amazing, right? You go into it like that, and then it takes the most beautiful thing of your life, and it turns it into a living nightmare. Now, let me explain to you why a little bit more as well, okay? Men, when you guys say something, how much is it important that you stick to what you said? You say something, that's your fucking word. You might even die for your word. Put your hands up if that's for you. Okay. So, you'd fucking die for your word, right? You say something, you fucking mean it. How many of you in here have had a girlfriend where she was like, we're soulmates, you're the love of my life, I'll never leave you. We're gonna be together in multiple lives. We've met each other in past lives, and we're gonna be together in future lives. It will never stop. That's how much I love you. You're the love of my fucking life. Who here's ever had a girl say that? Who here has ever had the experience where you break up and you're like, and I've done this so sadly, and after she dumps you, you're like, but didn't you say that we know each other from a past life? Like, if we know each other from a past life, then how can we be breaking up? And, I remember the girl that told me that. She said, she goes, no, Owen. She's like, she had two great explanations for it. She said, and she hammered me on the soulmate thing. I mean, she would say, like, I felt you coming psychically before you came, and we have a destiny together, and we have this grand destiny, right? All this stuff. And I was like, how can, and we're gonna get married, all this stuff, right? So then later, I was just curious what she'd, this is not good, social skills. I was genuinely curious what she'd say, kind of like for dark comedy purposes. So I said, how do you explain that? She said, well, Owen, you can have many soulmates. Like, my friend Jade's my soulmate too. Are you saying that me and Jade, my female friend, who I introduced you to, by the way, can't be soulmates? We can have hundreds of soulmates, thousands of them. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so then, if we're soulmates and we knew each other from all these past, I'm just curious. I'm not dumb enough to think this meant anything. You can't logically talk her off the cliff, right? So then I said, if we're destined to be together, then what does that mean? She said, no, it doesn't matter that we're breaking up now because we're going to get together in our next life. It is endless lives that we're going to get together. I love that one. That was great, right? So the thing is, but look, at the end of the day, I called her and I said, hey, how come I haven't heard from you? And so on and so forth, showed neediness. I thought we were great friends. I thought that the money and the friendship and the fact that we're to be honest, I don't think that she has a better option than what I could have brought to the table. I really don't. You guys have probably seen in my Instagram stories my lifestyle. I hold frame very well. I'm a lot of fun. Everybody around me gets very famous. Like a lot of great shit. We're always having parties. I mean, we got it going on. Guys, I want you to think about this. Doing some of the best parties in LA. Famous. Full-time staff. Mansion. Confident guy. Leader of men. Tons of female friends. Taking her on trips. Endless money. Endless budget. Whatever you want. And soulmates, apparently. All that. Lose frame. Had great sex before money was ever involved for a long time. Lose frame one time. RAS slip. And why? Because here's what you need to understand. In the same way that if you do an approach, you meet someone out, and you make a mistake, they have to have an RAS slip. They have to leave. They have to. I mean, look, you've seen it, right? You've seen it where a girl, you fuck up, you act a bit needy, you act a bit low status. They just have to get out of there. It's a biological impulse. Let me ask you a question. If your girlfriend went from weighing 120 pounds and you blinked and she weighed 1,200 pounds, and then she's like, but you said we're soulmates. You said we knew each other in a past life. What would you say? You'd probably say, well, honey, we could have many soulmates. I'm soulmates with Greg, right? Well, that's the double-edged sword of being a man is you, because your attractiveness is not that much based on your looks, only partially, but not that much, you can become a 10 or a 0 on a dime. Okay? If you're, real quick question, if it's highly relevant.
Yeah.
Loud.
All right, so when you have an RAS flip, right, is it unrecoverable? Like, you can't do anything at all to recover from it?
Okay, here's what's crazy about it. You can always get your ex back. Here's how you have to do it, though. The way you get your ex back is you totally detach. You don't care at all. You go get better, you date better people than her. You grow. You get to the point that you're not needy at all. And then what happens is she ages. You grow and get better. She's being drilled out by God knows how many fuckboys. But the point is, you go do that. And then the gap of status changes. You're not needy at all, and now you're a more attractive version of who she initially liked. But only when you now are perhaps dating other people or have your life going super duper duper fun, then you're at the point where you don't need her anymore, and then she wants to come back. So you can always get them back in 99% of cases, but it's never how you wanted it. Because now those prime years that she had are gone. Okay, they've been exhausted on whatever club promoter, whoever, okay? And the whole connection that you had feels stale and ill. And so they usually cry. Because there's, among those memes that I saw, there was a meme with a bunch of girls looking at a computer going, checking to see that he's still a loser. And the meme is like, and then they're like, he's still a loser. And then the girls are all high-fiving each other. Because when they dump you, they make a bet. And the bet that they make is that you're a fucking loser. They gamble on that, right? It's like they're at a casino. They gamble. This guy's a loser. I'm out. Well, then if you flip around and you don't care and you're having fun, and by the time you see her again, you go, you know what? You were right to break up. It makes sense. You know, we had some problems. I've always loved you. And you're not even mad at all. Well, then, yeah, they'll hook up with you again. They'll try to become your girlfriend again. But it's never how you wanted it. So that's why when it's done. Because why would you go back to that? That's crazy. You got to have a little bit of self-respect there. So when it's done, okay? But here's the crazy thing, okay? When you lose your girl, you were ideally being a good guy and being invested into her. But what happens is that if she pulls back, that betifies you overnight. Because the person that you trusted to go to for your validation betrays you. So it's like, so only if you were being an avoidant and kind of a dickhead who wasn't really in the relationship would you not be hurt by that. Okay? Like, when I've had that happen, it's like, I could be this like icy cold guy who like is detached and doesn't care and gets her back. But what would that have said about my authenticity in the relationship if I'm not hurt at all that they would do that? Of course I'm hurt because I opened up. But what happens is that they have all these other options. And then if you look a bit chumpish, they begin to look at those other options. They begin to exchange information with those other options. And that's what happens, okay? And then add to that, here's what you need to understand, okay? Why is it that the girl can say we're soulmates, we're best friends, we're gonna get married, and then it means nothing to her, but it means something to you. Why is that? What do you think? There's 2 reasons, I'd say. What are the reasons?
We value the words, like at the full value.
Yeah, here's what I'd say, okay? We value the words. Men are kind of driven by a different set of, kind of like a different subjective reality that we live in. So the things that we say are meant to relay stable information to our tribe so we can go kill a woolly mammoth or something. Women's traditional role is to increase the vibe. So they want to do whatever it takes to make you feel better in that moment. So in that moment, she's saying we're soulmates. She's saying that we're best friends. She's saying that, we're going to be together forever because it feels good. So if you take that as the way a man said it, and you're like, okay, well then in that case, I'll spend $100,000 on you, and I'll do all this shit. Well, then you're being an idiot, right? Now, at the time when you do it, she's like, yes, baby, we're soulmates. Keep doing it. She's not even trying to be a gold digger. She's just trying to she's just doing her job of increasing the vibe. She's actually being a cool girl. But never take those words as serious. They're not. They're serious within the context that, look, when she says we're soulmates and when she says we're going to be together forever, translation, I want you to feel really good right now. I want me to feel really good right now. And I want to have great sex with you. That's what it actually means. So don't base decisions based on that. Now, here's where that goes toxic. So as a guy, you're taking it more literally. So then you go spend, $100,000 on a ring, $500,000 at a ceremony. You go, you don't get a prenup. And you go invest in this because you're like, well, we're soulmates. We're together forever. You're taking it as serious, like what she said was serious. The marriage for her is a giant state pump. For you, it might be like a very, very serious commitment. For her, it's a state pump. It's a way to flex on IG. And that same girl I was talking about, she literally was just like, when you propose someday, here's what I want it to look like. And she needed like the sign there so she can flex on the other girls on IG. It's meant as a flex that the girl got someone to propose. It has no actual meaning. Now, how do you know that? Look at the stats on marriage. Go do a survey of what is on Instagram, see what's on there, do a survey of it, and realize how many Instagram accounts you see of like a happy marriage and how much you see of like fleecing the guy, he's a chump, God, I'm so happy that I got out of this, life just got only better and up from here, no consideration for the money or any of that stuff. It's pretty wild stuff. And the reason why that is because it's now increasing the vibe to get divorced. Plus the guy fucked up, he lost frame. Again, why is it that back in the day, you could get away with losing frame? If this is the 1950s, why could you lose frame? Why was it, if you had a bad week in your business, you could lose frame, why would you still not lose your girl? The Chesterton's fence, family, religion, social norms. There was slut shaming back then. There was no birth control back then. If the girl ran around getting fucked, she just got pregnant by some random dude. Okay? So you had mechanisms in place that held that marriage together. We don't have those mechanisms right now. They're gone. Look, the truth is, I don't really know what the answer to this is, okay? I don't have a proposed utopia to this. I'm giving a diagnosis of where we're at. I can show you your best path forward if you want to have a family. And I'm actually about to jump into that. I'm about to jump in that now. But what I'm saying to you is realize optimizing for me. Most of you in this room, when I look at you, most of you are trying to optimize to be providers. You don't have a lot of swagger. You're not that fun. You're probably not getting a lot of organic attraction. And to be honest, you're probably not even that successful even as a provider either. So everything is just off. And then you're thinking that you're going to find your equal out there somewhere. Look, if you guys go out tonight, like say we go out after this, and you go to girls and you try to show that you're like a good provider, what kind of response are you going to get? Like super fucking weird. What if do an experiment. Be like, I'm looking to have a family. Look, go right now on your phone. Some of you do this and just look up hot girl who loves Jesus and see what comes up. Okay? No, do it. See what comes up. Hot girl loves Jesus, okay? Hot girl loves Jesus. So God forbid you be looking for like a girl with more traditional values. What comes up for you if you type that in? What came in? What did it say when you said hot girl loves Jesus?
I looked it up on Instagram. It says child sexual abuse.
Guys, what do you see? I don't want to be the one to say it. What do you see when you looked up hot girl loves Jesus?
Merchandise.
Okay, some of you, did anyone see anything very vile that came up? Put your hand up if you saw something vile. Okay? Well, I looked it up, and what I saw was something. What did you type in exactly?
I said, hot girl loves Jesus on Instagram. It says child sexual abuse is illegal.
Why is it bad to want a hot girl who loves Jesus? Why is that bad? Stop and think about that. Because I was seeing, here's what happened, okay? I was seeing all these bad memes, and then I'm like, well, I should look for some good ones. You know, I was like, I'll look for some good, like maybe I'm just down a rabbit hole, so I'm gonna look for some good. So I typed that in, and I'm like, get this off my, like, no! Like, bro, you wonder why I bring up Luke to talk about psyops. Like, what could be wrong? A beautiful girl who just loves Jesus. And that's what comes up. You don't think it's a psyop? Who put that there? Like, she's just Christian. That's fucking crazy. Like, did you ever see that coming? Bro, I was like, like threw my phone on the wall. I'm like, no! Okay? A nice, beautiful girl who looks Christian. But that's what comes up. Think about that, okay? So, yeah, that's when I'm like, I felt like I'm in a bad dream. I'm like, I just want to wake up and go back to normal. Like, how's this real? But it's real. And it's real because, again, society was done with a lot of Chesterton fences, and every single other mammal species is the best guy with all the girls. Girls don't need you for a job. You seeing it, bro? Girls don't need you for a job. Girls don't need you for protection. Girls don't need you for anything. They got more college degrees and more jobs. They're having fun. They're being told having kids sucks. They're in that weird nebulous life. Like, where are we going? We gonna eat at Zuma? Are we gonna go to are we going to live? Where are we going? Right? Like, you know that even way of talking is like, yeah. Oh my God. What that actually is someone without a core. It's someone whose entire spiritual essence, like Zuma, live, Coachella. You can feel it. You feel that almost their entire soul is being absorbed in these external things. And so there's no joy in going through that journey that could include challenge and pain, but giving, right? That growth, that spiritual growth that comes from giving. So now, here's what you got to understand, okay? So attraction is very much based on what it was that we talked about yesterday, which is frame, okay? And so let me try to show this to you. So we're going to go a little bit deeper here, okay? So now, why is it that club promoters, it's so very frequent that they wind up dating the most attractive women? It's very common. And now you can say, oh, no, it's just the bad quality women. You got to meet a good girl. I mean, hey, you can't even go on Instagram and meet a good girl, so you'll get a warning. Okay? Try to look up a good girl. No! Okay? But in addition, I mean, that's crazy. But in addition to that, go find quality women. Go learn who the club promoters are in your city. Most women that you'd call quality are friends with club promoters. Why? Look, it's pretty human. You want to get free comp dinners. You want to get free whatever. Maybe you could share a little bit about like what a woman's experience is like that you can bring to her. Like maybe share your story a bit, and then share your story. He's got the best Instagram. His Instagram is remind me again. You're my favorite Instagram account. What is it? Now it's Nate. Could you guys repeat that to me? Now it's Nate. So it's Nate now _it's _Nate. Okay, so repeat that. Now _it's _Nate. He's got the funniest Instagram you've ever seen. It's really funny. I'll clip it, but maybe you share a little bit about your experience with your breakup, and then what you learned about basically being a promoter.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can see his voice is all fucked up because he's living this life.
That's right. I was at Strawberry Moon today. It was so much fun. Beautiful girls from every country. So I guess I'll start with a story. I think I told most of you guys, but long story short, made great money, came from a poor household, lived the dream life, finance pro life in New York City. Had a girlfriend for 5 years, met her when I started making money, which is ironic. With her for 5 years, I got laid off, and then I find her on my couch at 2 o'clock in the morning with a club promoter in my $7,000. Yeah, my $7,000 a month apartment. How many of you guys pay $7,000 a month or more on rent? No. Okay, one guy. Or mortgage. One guy. Yeah, that just shows the class of what I was in New York, right? I'm super humble now. I don't give a shit. But, at the time I'm thinking, holy shit, I work at a big finance firm. I'm doing all this stuff. What Sid said about the M&A guy, making good money, that's what my path was, right? And I didn't look at his advice, by the way. His advice was that basically those guys, they're not living the life you want to live. And I didn't look down the path to kind of see that. You know, I probably had the hottest girl of all of the guys in my group doing this stuff. And all of them came from money, by the way. I was the only one that didn't. So anyway, you guys can see that on my story. So I walk in, get cheated on. I'm paying her phone bill. I'm paying everything. Phone, hers. Food, hers. The jewelry on her hands, hers. Nails, hers. All stuff that I paid for. You know who was reaping the benefits? Wasn't me. So anyway, that happens, right? The lease is under her name. I actually had a place in Miami. I was going back and forth for the tax benefits. And I was like, you know what? It's in her name. See ya. So she's stuck with that lease for another 3 months. Good luck with that. Not my problem. So I leave, I come here, and I said, I need to be a fucking club promoter. What the hell are these guys doing that I'm not doing? Well-educated, great fucking job, 6 figures, I'm 6'2". Isn't that exactly what a girl wants? No, it's not. He wants a tattered up club promoter, jacked out of his mind. And I think he's on roids, but anyway. So I got to figure out what the hell this is, right? So I come down here. One of my friends was a model who my ex didn't let me be friends with. Funny how jealous she can be, but crazy. So I can't have female friends.
It's all projection.
So I wind up linking up with this model. She invites me to a couple events, and then she introduces me to the club promoters that she knows. And these guys are real club promoters. These guys are over it. They don't even want to talk to women anymore. They're like, this is my life. This is all I'm embedded in. Like, make me my money and leave, right? And so anyway, so I sit down and I have a real conversation with one of these dudes. And he's like, yeah, man, straight up, we bring girls to the most lit places and we get paid to do it. I'm like, what do you mean most?
And think of the ratio he has.
I said, what do you mean most lit places? He goes, oh, you know how Jeff Bezos just bought a house down here? We filled that party with girls. And they were paid $2,000 to do that. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, to invite to Jeff Bezos' house with like a bunch of chicks? What the fuck? So then I'm like, can I see this? And they're like, yeah, sure. Come out to Playa with us. Playa's on Lincoln Road. Show up to Playa. 4 guys, 47 girls. Party bus. It's on my page. Check it out. One night. Party bus. 47 girls. Fucking crazy. You can even count them. There's literally a slide thing where it's like all the girls walking out, you can count them. 47 fucking girls. Every ethnicity you could want. Black, white, Latino, whatever you want. One night on a fucking Wednesday. Wednesday! I'd have to wake up. I'd be at work till 2 a.m. Fucking Wednesday. And these guys are getting paid like $700 to do this. I'm like, I could not believe that shit. So I just want to make a slight pivot for a second. This whole world is man-made, okay? I was in the pay-to-play world, working the big finance job. The only events that I went to were with my job, which were cool events and great, but there's no women there. It's business. And if there are, the MDs are talking to them. You're not. You're scum of the earth, right? So you go from that, pay to play. Every club I went to, Marquee, all these places in New York City. And I've been paying to play this entire time. And you know what's even more crazy? As soon as I leave New York, my monthly expenses went from and it's like crazy. It's like, I literally was shitting my pants when I got laid off. I'm like, I'm gonna die. Like, I can't afford this shit. And then this breakup happens, I leave. I'm like, shit, I got some runway now. I'm like, I'm gonna be a fucking club promoter. Like, this is great. I'm like, this is great. So anyway, I say this to you guys because being everything is man-made, some things are harder to change than other things, right? You're not gonna go change every woman's mentality to go make them want a provider, right? But you can change their mentality on you. And you can also change people around you's mentality on what you provide in a certain situation, right? And so going to all these clubs where previously I was pay to play, you wanted a table, you're dropping $3,000 minimum. And I would do it. I'd fucking do it. Even though I had a girlfriend, I would do it, okay? And now, all the hot girls in my section, unlimited alcohol, and I'm getting fucking paid. What? That's what I'm saying. So, but, it's hard to do this, right? Not everyone can do this shit. Like, I'm just going to say it straight up. It's taxing.
Voice, right?
You hear my voice, you see the bags in my eyes, but I'm tell you what, this shit's fucking fun, man. Like, it's a lot of fun. So way better than what I was doing. Question.
By the way, I want to add one piece before you ask the question. So I've known about this. Look, so back in the day, I taught dating like crazy. Then I got out of it, and I teach mostly personal growth. I've done that. I got out of dating like 2018, 19 mostly, right? But as I'm watching society just unraveling, I decided to make at least a couple videos on this topic. And it was funny because right as I'm going through this, I guess because of the AI or whatever, Instagram gives me his thing. Let me show you what I see, right? So I'm going through my breakup at the same time. So here you go. I'm going through my like losing the soulmate, awakening and breakup. And then I'm probably talking about this on my phone or, God knows what how Instagram found it, but probably because of what I'm talking about. And so then I see this like random reel, which a bunch of my friends, because my friends are hearing what I'm talking about, right? So my friends see this, and it's the one that did like a huge amount of views. It's because that's the one that I got sent initially, but they're all really great. So it says this.
Day one of trying to be exactly what she really wanted. Hi, I'm Nate, and recently my relationship of 5 years ended because I found out she was sleeping with a jacked 5'7" club promoter. When I lost her, I lost my friends, my social circle, got let go from my job, and any belief that love could actually be real. I thought I had everything a girl wanted, a 6-figure job, beautiful New York City apartment, and the man who could provide everything for our future family. But apparently, she just wanted a hot, jacked guy who could invite her to the best, most exclusive clubs on someone else's dime. So I've decided I need to do something completely irrational, something I can never do with my textbook finance for life. I bought a beater car. Just kidding. I moved to Miami. I decided I'm going to transform my life so I can be exactly what she really wanted. But this isn't for her. This is for myself. Working 60-plus hour weeks and getting the premium finance job was what society told me I needed to do my entire life. I'm done working hard building a traditional career just to get cheated on and lied to. It's time for some fun for a change. So this is day one of completely transforming my life.
He makes great diary videos too. Like, yeah, give him a hand. That's amazing. And out of curiosity, because your videos have a great narrative. Have you made videos before?
Okay, so I have an aquarium page. Uh-huh. So I have a little side aquarium maintenance company, and I made narrated fish videos.
Yeah, because I just found this out right now, like you guys. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker's got like some great editing skills. Like, I don't even have editing skills. I haven't done videos for 20 years. So you've got some crazy editing skills. And I want to actually like learn from your format and make narrative videos in my life too. I think it's amazing. But yeah, he's got skills. But anyway, imagine that I'm going through this and I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is where society is going. Like, this is where society is going. And what's funny is like, the prediction I'd have for your life is like, either A, you'll crush it and make a ton of money doing what you're doing now. B, you will use your skills in social media and editing skills, do something like maybe like tangentially related, make money doing that. Or maybe you'll do a podcast. I think you'd crush it with a podcast. Yeah, you got star power, bro. Like, you will crush it with a fucking podcast. So you'll find a new lane in this. But I think what's also interesting is that it's a little bit, I feel like you probably share my view on this, so I want your view, is like, it's fun to know this, and I'm doing all this too. I'm kind of like a promoter in LA, but it's also scary because you feel like you've cracked the code, and then you're looking at all your bros, and you're like, man, you guys are fucked. So it's kind of scary. It's like, you're like, hey, I kind of figured it out. But him doing that is the first in a flood of what you're going to see in a flood of change, which is basically a more normal, comfortable mode in a sort of like a gynocentric version of society, is like everyone just kind of flowing and having fun. Some chump super rich guy that's paying the bill, which is the rich guy that's paying the table and all that kind of stuff. Well, it could be a cool guy too, just has the money, but whatever, right? He's paying the bill. Everyone's flowing and having fun. And there's not really like a rush to have sex or anything. You kind of just have sex when it's flowy and feel like it, but it's in a large group. And I have a buddy who, like, he'll do parties and stuff, and he's got a female friend group of maybe 50 girls, and he'll just kind of wind up hooking up with all of them, usually 5 at a time, 10 at a time. And they kind of like it better because he'll put a little party. They're all just kind of having fun. My buddy's just there. And whichever ones kind of feel aroused in that moment, they just hook up with them. And it's kind of like the lion. I think what you're going to start seeing in the future, if things don't change, is the model will be more like one lion, one male lion. The female's out hunting, giving the food to the lion, and he's basically just a cum provider. And that's literally where, you see it? He sees it.
I just want to say something. So people have been finding me around. So I went out with Owen the other night, and someone actually came up to me. But I was on the beach. I was doing my little workout thing, I was working out. And dude comes up to me, he goes, "You're the guy who got cheated on by a club promoter." And I was like, I am that guy. Yeah. Sucks. Anyway, so he goes, "I want to tell you something. When I was 21, all my friends were in college. I didn't go to school. I became a club promoter. I did it at 21. And he goes, "Do you want to know the moment when I realized all my friends are fucked? When a girl that I was seeing went out to a nice dinner to Poppy Steak and brings the steak back to me."
Yeah. Can't let that land, guys.
She wasn't sleeping with him. She was sleeping with the guy who came up to me. Not the Poppy Steak guy who spent, what is it, like $1,500 for a steak?
God knows what. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Crazy.
I mean.
So he takes her out, pays $1,500 for a steak, doesn't have sex with him, brings it back to the guy who spent nothing, feeds him and has sex with him.
So he's talking about the lion getting fed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. Don't try and be too perfect for the girl. Don't. Be the best person you can be for yourself. Focus on your mission, right? And I think if you're focused on your mission and you've got enough girls in the pipeline, we talk about the sales funnel, got enough girls in that pipeline, some of them are going to really like you. And if you're not super focused on them because you've got 10 other women or 10 other things you're juggling, it comes around in a different way, And so I just wanted to give that little perspective too, because this is not meant to be, guys, stop working on yourself. That's fucking stupid. Work on yourself. Seriously. And the legacy comment, guys want to leave a legacy and all that stuff. No, I agree. And so now after being a club promoter for 2.5 weeks, I learned a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I learned about myself was, my legacy was, okay, I'm going to work this big finance job. I'm going to go make a lot of money and, whatever. But the main thing that I really liked about it was I can say I'm at this big, beautiful company and I have all these people underneath me. And that's my fucking tribe and they're my little slaves, right? And just that feeling of power was really what I wanted. But it's not real. You're not really in power when you're moving up that corporate ladder. You really got to have a mission that you want yourself. And you got to have people who will follow you because they believe in your mission and what you actually stand for. And it's nobody else's shit, it's yours. And that's kind of what he's built with his community. And sort of my Instagram has kind of been a showing of this is what happens when you do that. You know what I mean? And so thank everyone who's watched my videos. Thank you for reaching out to me. Yeah, so you're asking how my thought of hypergamy has changed. Yeah. Okay, honestly, I didn't have a thought of hypergamy before because I never even thought about it. Sure. But I'll say this. This goes back to the pay-to-play, free-to-play thing. I think offering value that's non-monetary is the biggest game changer of my life. And so that's affected me in women, in Instagram, social media. It's affected me in the friends that I've made. My mission when I came down to Miami was to live a completely different life than I lived before because of what I just witnessed and learned and felt. And that's exactly what the fuck I'm doing, And so I guess my thought on hypergamy or whatever would be that my life was pay to play and it's not anymore. And it's because there's a lot of other value you can offer that's not money.
He's not a little minion anymore who doesn't have swagger and has to pay his way in. That's how you're viewed as a provider, as an Oompa Loompa minion and not part of the real world. Just like, it's almost how, look, it's like how a lot of people would see, minimum wage workers, where you walk into a 7-Eleven or you walk into a Target and you're nice to them, but you never pause to think about what their life is like. As a provider, you basically look like one of those. I don't want to say subhuman, but you look like you're not aware of what's happening and you're just kind of propping up society by fixing the road or, trimming the hedges or something like that. That's what you look like. Even as a high level provider, to them, you look like a wage laborer.
And I also want to say this, right? When you make, I think people, how many people here have made over $250,000 in 1 year? Okay, there's actually more people than I thought there would be. In a normal distribution, it would literally be maybe one person in the room, right? And so I think when you make stupid money, $250 a year is good. When you make stupid money, millions a year, that's when money doesn't matter to you. And taking the girl out to dinner and all that shit, it doesn't actually matter. So pay to play is different for those type of people. And I've never really been around those type of people. I sat in the room with them doing deals, but now I'm in the same section as them, but they're paying and I'm not. And one thing that I got to realize, so I ran into a guy, Mitchell Modell. If you guys remember Modell Sporting Goods, I don't know if you guys have heard of it. This guy founded that company. I ran into him at Mila, right? And Mila, by the way, is a $50,000 a year just to get in to the lounge. And then all the drinks and shit are even more expensive. He spent probably $100,000 that night. And I'm in the same section as this guy. And I'm chatting him up and I'm talking to him, really cool guy. And I said, I'm like, why do you drop so much money at a stupid thing like this? And he's like, I just want to have fun, man. 60, whatever the hell, years old. I just want to have fun and it doesn't fucking matter to me. I'm like, doesn't matter to you. I'm like, $100,000 in one night doesn't matter to you. So when Owen talks about like all these girls going on these crazy trips and stuff like that, a lot of those people have stupid money where it doesn't even matter, right? Like it does not matter for them to take the $5,000 flight. And so don't be in the middle. Don't make $250,000 a year. Go for the millions because that's a way more fun life. And who cares about the dinner? Who cares about the $5,000? Who cares about the Costa Azul? Obviously you don't want to pay for those things. But like when you're making stupid money like that, doesn't matter.
Do you remember when I talked to you guys about how a lot of you guys are like the Lexus? I was talking about fitness, right? And how like you're trying to get fit, you really work hard, but you're still kind of like a Lexus or an Audi. You're not like a Bugatti or Lamborghini. And likewise, you try to make money. Boom, 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 boom. You try, you get to $120K a year, bro. It's not going to get you over the hump. So you're better to either focus on swag or, remember I said it yesterday, if you're going to be a billionaire, amazing. But if you're going to be one of those people stuck at the Lexus level, it's not going to get you over the hump.
I would say this too, like now that I'm living the more poorer lifestyle, I got to say, like, I used to be poor when I was in New York. This is way better than that, okay? Because my life experience is just like, whew. So if you're going to be in that lower income level, like commit to it. Like don't spend stupid money. Don't put yourself in a lot of debt. Build your business. Take the time to build your business or whatever mission you're on. They did a study, I think it was like Harvard or something. I actually learned this years ago, where they basically made like 4 quadrants, right? They had the guy who makes a lot of money but is useless, so trust fund baby. They had the guy who makes a lot of money but is totally useful, everyone loves him, big social circle. Then they had the guy who's poor and useless, and the guy who's poor but crazy connections. Think of like the non-for-profit, guy, the CEO of a non-for-profit, right? And they found that both the rich, useful guy and the poor, useful guy equally were as attractive to women. Because women don't give a shit about money. They give a shit about value. When you show up and you bring whatever value they want to see to the table, they flock to you, man. It could be a table with a bunch of girls and you're the one, like I said, these other promoters, they're professionals at this. When they go out to the club, they stand like this.
You really do.
Yeah, and you know what? The girls are cool with that. But when I get in there and I'm a freaking animal, they're like, holy shit, this guy. They love me. They come in, they want to take pictures of me. I put up my camera, I do my little videos. You guys can see it on my page. I mean, everyone loves that shit, right? So that's the value I provide inside the club on its own, right? And they're tapped out, they're sex-hausted, right? But I'm not, so I'm having a great time, right? So anyway, the point is non-monetary value goes a very long way. And so, if you're building a business, you're working on something. I'm starting to build a business now. I'll talk to you about it later. But commit to the poor shit. Listen, I lived the poor life and it sucked when you have the wrong perspective. When you have the right perspective and you're getting tapped in with the right people, your wealth is the safety net that you built of all the people who are not going to let you fall. They're not going to let you quit. They're not going to let you fall. It doesn't matter how fucking tough shit gets. Those guys that are with me now, not the guys I made when I was in finance bro land, the guys I'm meeting now, these guys fucking got me. You're having a bad day? You don't need to bring girls. Just come with me to the club. You want to go on a boat to shoot some content? I got 3 yachts going out tomorrow. Which one you want?
He has relationship equity.
And I'm not walking in there. Like, I have one guy who owns a party bus, and he's literally like, you want to do some content on a party bus? Let's do it. Like, get on my party bus. Literally today, just came up to me at Strawberry Moon. And he's like, listen, a lot of these guys have egos in Miami. These guys got big egos. They think they're hot shit. You don't. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't give a fuck. Straight up, like, I don't care. Like, I'm just like, this is crazy to me. The fact that I'm even getting on a party bus is like wild. You know, and just be grateful for all those little interactions and have that really positive perspective. And like, God damn, man. Like, don't live beyond your means. Don't go for that shit. Don't be the pay to play where it matters. When you make your shit tons of money, then you go fucking do the pay to play. And it's like, you don't even care. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say that, right? $250 a year, cool. I lived that life. It was miserable. You work, you know, and you don't have relationship equity. And you don't have time to build a relationship equity. The biggest thing I resonated with what Owen said was there's two different tracks. There's the get with girls or there's make a lot of money. There's a merge in between, but getting that merge in between, holy shit, it's difficult. And I'm thankful to fucking God I'm getting there right now. 27 years old. It's my birthday a few days ago. 27 years old.
By the way, guys, give me a hand for that. That was amazing. And let me say this too, because we have to go out in a sec. What I'd say is this. I'd say two big points. One is, we talk about how when you have great social skills, you're a great public speaker. How good of a public speaker does he look like? I mean, that's crazy. Give me a hand for that. That was crazy. Like, he's got skills, like proper order. Imagine if his voice wasn't blown out from being a club promoter for 2 weeks, right? And then the other thing is, like that's like world-class public speaker. So, like, this guy's got star power. He's going to be massive. The other thing, he'll be as big as you choose to be. Now, the other thing I would say is, what I think you're seeing with his channel and his Instagram, which definitely follow now_it's_Nate. What you're seeing is the beginning of a social trend. And the reason why that blew up so quick, that probably wouldn't have blown up that quick 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But what you're seeing is we're now at a different time and culture. And basically what's happening is going from pairing of one guy, one girl. And if we're being honest, it's shifting a little bit more towards that line analogy. Look, you can like it, you can hate it. I'm just telling you where it's going, okay? Look, I hope marriage comes back. I hope the nuclear family comes back. It's not here now, okay? It's not here now at all. I don't think the direction it's going is the best. I'm sure he feels the same way. But when you're just talking about where it actually is, okay, for being honest, if the guys that I know who have the opportunity to build a family are guys who are a little bit more like the lion. They have a lot of competition. They're not spending the money because that's for chumps. And then what's happening is if they wanted to get married, any one of those girls would be down to have a family because she's getting the popular guy. So what I would tell you is that if you want to actually have a family, what you saw him doing is the beginning of a trend that you'll see where guys are going to have to begin to learn some swagger, begin to get some access, begin to have some social proof. You're just going to see that. So like, if you want children, ironically, what he's doing would be far more likely to meet you an incredible wife, and obviously formal legal marriage these days is very dangerous, but it'd be far more likely to do that than the traditional way. And right now, if you want to meet a girl for marriage, we'll call it like wifey, not wife. But you know, if you want to get a wifey to have a family, were you in a better position in New York doing finance or down here doing this? If you want to be a family man,
I've never met so many amazing girls in my life, and I met more in the last 2 weeks than I have even before the 5 years. Like,
crazy. So what you guys saw here, again, we had Luke Rudkowski come up. I've talked. Nate's talked. And what you've seen, what we've tried to show you is sort of a 360-degree picture of where society is going. We're going to come back in here tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about swagger. And I'm going to talk about frame. And I'm going to talk about what's genuinely attractive. And I'm going to try to show you the best path forward if you want to have kids and if you want to have a family. I really believe that casual sex compared to having a family, look, casual sex can be entertaining. You know, you're using a condom. You don't even have that much sexual chemistry with the person. Yes, novel, but nothing is better on this earth than having a family. But what I'm trying to tell you is the chances of you getting a family following an outdated model is like trying to compete with social media using direct mail. Okay? It's no longer fit with where society's at. It's not representative of what women are experiencing. And look, I think ultimately what's going to have to happen, in my personal opinion, is we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. There was a lot that was good about the nuclear family, but you know what else? There was a lot that was bad. I think women did get the short end of the deal in a lot of areas. I'm not one of these full-on traditionalists that think, you just go back to the 50s and regress. I don't think that's the path forward. But what I think that the pendulum kind of swings. I think it was way too far one way. I think now it's just going to the land of Cardi B, drugs, and fake soulmates. And I think eventually it's going to hit a different space. But what I'll do is tomorrow, and if you're watching it, hope it'll be the next video, you're going to see me talk about what organic attraction means. And I think, really where this is going in my view is a couple things. One is, if you look at society, right, where the food is filled with toxins, but you can learn to go to farmers markets and shield yourself from the bullshit, or, there's all these, kind of fucked up beliefs in the mainstream, but if you're proactive, you can create a little community and you can shield yourself off from the BS, right? I think that for most guys getting married right now, they are fucked. They are fucked. But if you know what you're doing, you can make, a group of cool guy friends. And then, they've got their, I don't say wives like legally, because right now, I love marriage, but it's too dangerous right now. It doesn't exist right now. It's a joke right now. It's not taken seriously. Maybe by you, but not by the society. So, shows like The Bachelor shows how seriously they take marriage now. It's clowned on. It's just a way to flex. But basically, what you'll see is, you might see maybe a group of cool dudes, right? Like me, my buddies, and we've got our families, and we kick it with each other. So there's maybe like a little bit of a tribe there. But we've actually learned what organic attraction actually is. And then when you have that and you understand organic attraction, that combined with a cool little tribe of your own that promotes the marriage, that promotes the family, that promotes raising the kids, then you can actually kind of quarantine off from the BS and you have real organic attraction. I'll end with this, and I don't mean to say anything political here at all, but I had a client, I love the guy to death actually, but he's Muslim. And my understanding, and I may misunderstand this, so if I do, is there anyone here who's Muslim that can let me know if I'm misunderstanding this? You're Muslim? Okay. So funny enough, actually, you had your interesting story earlier. But basically, I had a client who's Muslim, and I said, hey, he wanted to come out and work on his social skills. And he said, look, I don't care, I want to learn how to network with other guys, which I think is badass. But he's like, but I don't care about having swagger because in my country I'm from, we don't need swagger. We have an arranged marriage. Then she just, she's put in under the burqa and she's just got to be there. It's changing. I bet you it is. He basically said flat out, I have no desire to have charisma at all. That would be like, from my point of view, if I'm being honest, like as if your wife's like, I'm not going to shave my legs. Like, I'm not going to take a shower. Like basic things that you would like, but he didn't feel like he wanted to do that. Look, I respect his culture, but I'm just making the point that like, personally for me, like again, I'm from the West. I don't think it's necessary that a girl has to fuck a chump. I don't think it's necessary for you to be a chump. You see where I'm getting at with this? Like, I don't think a girl has to be an incubator for an Oompa Loompa, and then we have to shame them, right? But I think the next step is this. Guys have to learn how to understand frame, state, swagger. They have to understand what organic attraction is, and they've got to begin to optimize it. What you're seeing with Nate is Nate has now begun to optimize for that, and suddenly he's in a position to build a family if he wants. You guys see that? So that's going to be the shifting trend. The shifting trend doesn't have to be we get all mad that women don't want to fuck a chump and that they enjoy living a fun life and having sex with who they want. Rather, it's about guys, and guys will complain about this because they're like, well, you're always blaming guys, saying guys have to step up. Notice that I'm not saying guys have to be a better provider, because that's what they always do, right? They're like, guys have to learn to provide better. I didn't say that. What I said was learn what it means to be authentically attractive. Eddie, maybe last thoughts on that?
I was going to say, you guys know the song, If I Was a Bad Bitch, I'd Want to Fuck Me Too? Be the guy you would actually want to fuck. Don't be homo, but be that guy.
That's a great conclusion. Guys, give me a hand. Thank you guys very much. That's sick. That's sick. That's a great conclusion. Thank you, bro. That was amazing.